Hey guys, my name is Johnny, and I'm gonna spend a little time today explaining this station right here. I know that it looks like there's like a lot going on, but it's actually pretty simple. So we're gonna spend a little time learning what each section does. And I'm gonna start over here with my AVM. This is your personal monitor. This is really important because this is gonna allow you to hear yourself very clear and be able to hear the rest of the band. So what I like to start with is setting my master to where I want it. I'll probably set it at around 50%. Um, and then the next thing that I'll mix into that is actually the keyboard, and that is going to be on channel 9. Both of your keyboards will go through that, so you want to start with that. Make sure you have plenty of sound from both keyboards and that they're both balanced. The next thing that I will do is go to the click channel and make sure that I have plenty of click. This is what's going to keep me on tempo with the rest of the band. So that is really important. I like to add a little bit of tracks in there just to kind of hear what's going on and be able to play along with what's going on in the tracks. And then once I have those set, I usually set that at like 75%, and then everything else will go under that. So like lead vocals and the rest of the band will kind of just hang under that so that my parts are very clear, and usually try to keep the click track and my instrument at the same level. Um, Sometimes even the click could be a little higher than that just to make sure that I stay on tempo and I don't lose it in the mix once everybody starts playing. But that's pretty much how I start with my mix. You can get pretty fancy with this stuff by panning left and right. If your mix gets a little muddy or too busy, you can kind of pan things left and right just to kind of split up the sound, keeping your instrument and click in the middle. You have some EQ stuff that you can do as well on there. But that's pretty much it for that section. You got a 1/8 inch adapter thing that you hook up to with your headphones. Um, but that's pretty much covers that area. Right here we have a computer that's basically powering and running our MIDI controller, which is the piano on the top. So the main function will be for synth sounds and running pads. That's the main function for like the top keyboard. On the computer, we have complete worship bundle, which is gonna make it super easy for you guys to be able to click through pads in different keys. This is as simple as just clicking the key that you want. So we're gonna click on the key of E, and that's gonna allow us to transition in between songs very smoothly and add a little bit of atmosphere, background music to whatever is going on in the room. So that kind of covers that area. We got other sounds that we can use for synthesizers for different songs. But basically, this is a little station for synthesizers and pads, loops. Loops just kind of keep repeating, just never stop. So they're great for using for transitions while you're playing piano on top of that. So we're going to stop that. And then the last part is just the Nord. So I know that this can look pretty intimidating with all those buttons, but you really don't need to use all of it or really know what all of it means. The main thing about the Nord is that it's got 3 sections. You got your organ section on the left, you got your piano section, and then you got your synthesizer section. And then on the right, you're going to have all of your effects, EQs, and all that fun stuff that's really going to add a lot to the piano. Now that I've introduced all of the different sections, I'm going to explain to you some of the must of the Nord. So where I would start, I would just make sure that my volume is where it needs to be. Your master volume is going to be on the left, kind of tucked away, the very top knob on the left, top left. You're going to want to make sure that is like about 75%. And then you want to make sure that all of your sections are on. So under each knob of like the section, so like for example the organ or the piano and the synth, the little knob for each of those sections is what controls the volume. so I can add each instrument. So under that knob is an on and off button. Just make sure that those are all on. The way that I would mix these is I would just have all of them on and then just turn off the volume knob for the one that I am using. So we got piano in there. We can add some pads, organ. So that's just kind of a little idea of how that works. I always keep those on. I'm gonna turn down the pad and just leave the piano on. Another thing, just make sure your EQ is on. So you turn that on by just pressing the on button here. And just make sure that it's on piano. To switch that, you just got double click. And it'll kind of just flip through synth, organ, each of those sections. But make sure it's on the piano, because that's what we'll use it on. You can kind of hear a little bit of the difference there. And the next one is the reverb. Make sure that is always on, or else your piano's going to sound pretty dry. You know, you can take it down if it's too much. That's all the way up. So I would probably keep that around 30-40%. So once you have your piano set, EQ on, we can add a little bit of pads in there just to kind of fill it up. So let's add the E major pad in there. We're going to let that fade in. So it sounds good, but I think we could make it sound a little better. Maybe we'll just add a little bit of pads in there. Just to help with the chord progression. Basically what the loop is doing is just holding down the 1 and the 5. So kind of like that. Which allows it to create like a different harmony for each chord that you go into. And it only works if you stay within the chord progression. If you do any crazy chords, then it might sound bad. So you kind of want to look at each song and see what chords you're doing. Let's try it with the pad and see what it sounds like. So yeah, and just to turn it off, we're going to go back to the E, click on that, and it'll stop. And that's basically it for our intro section. Basically, just got to get in here, mess around with it, play around with it, and have fun, and just get creative with transitions and what you want it to sound like. Thanks, guys.